Thank you for the introduction. Hello everyone, great to see you all. I really liked your opening, Annie, that technology is only useful if it delivers value to the organization, and actually our cloud migration journey fits very much within that context. For us, cloud is one of the key foundations of our technology strategy, along with insourcing and adopting agile ways of working and investing in software engineering to help us on our journey from being a telco to a tech company that can unlock value. And we see value coming in really three key areas. We talk a lot about velocity. Most people would think of that in the terms of time to market. How quickly can we do the things that we need to do? Can we get to market faster than everyone else? Can we refresh our capabilities? And cloud is a key enabler of that. Operational performance. Note, I use the word performance, not efficiency. Cloud is a key enabler in our operational performance, the stability of our networks, the performance of our IT systems, and the ability for us to offer a much better customer experience based on the stability and the performance of the technologies that we use. And then third, cloud's a key enabler for cost. We all know our industry is struggling with return on capital versus weighted average cost of capital, and migration to cloud is helping us close that gap and hopefully put our return on capital above our weighted average cost of capital, and therefore we're not burning investment funding anymore. This is a journey we've been on for quite some time. There's my clicker. We started back in 2015, actually developing a strategy around clouds for all of the areas of our technology stack. And it's a nuanced strategy. I don't think one size fits all when you come to cloud strategy. In networks, we bet back then in 2015 that private cloud would be the most effective way for us to build our network infrastructure. We believe stability, latency, performance, we could control better in our own data centers, but we wanted all of the capabilities that cloud technologies gave us in auto-scaling, in flexibility, in automating the deployment of our capabilities. Today, we're 70% of our network core runs in private cloud capabilities, and by 2027, that'll be 90% of our estate. You may ask, why not 100%? Whilst we've shut down 3G, we still run 2G, and there's not a very good economic case for refactoring our 2G platforms onto private cloud. We'll continue to run those as legacy nodes. What's that unlocked from a capability point of view? First of all, it's enabled us to be fast. We're currently deploying 5G standalone across many of our markets, and that's enabled us to be first or second in virtually all markets in the deployment of the capabilities, enabling us to offer B2B cases particularly sooner than many of our competitors in the marketplace. But it's really unlocked key capabilities in the way we run our networks. We built a new model, taking all of our network data, building that into our data ocean, and using machine learning sitting on top of that to run our network telemetry and capabilities. That's enabled us to be much more effective in the way we run our networks, but we've also retired more than 150 OSS tools that we used to buy as software from vendors, and we build those using our machine learning models. That's not possible unless you move to cloud technologies. In the IT space, a longer journey and a more complex journey. We started about the same time. Today, we're almost 60% in public cloud capabilities, and by 2027, we'll be 100% in public cloud. And we felt public cloud was a more effective way for us to build our IT environments and give us the flexibility and scale that we want, because our usage and consumption is much more lumpy than it is in networks. We started that journey initially in what most people would think of as digital. So our My Vodafone app, our e-commerce sites, our public-facing websites, our chatbots, all of the things that we use to service our customers. We started investing in building those as digital native capabilities in AWS to support our time to market. That's been a very effective strategy for us. And they say, well, how do you know that? Well, in consumer telco, there are a key number of events that happen through the year. In the UK market, the most important is iPhone launch day. iPhone launch day happens in the middle of the day. It's a little bit painful. In the case of the UK, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. You're not allowed to display any Apple content on the new devices before 1 p.m. And at exactly 1 p.m., you can display that content and you can start to take orders for iPhone. And I'm sure there's other telcos in the room. We know that the first set of orders for iPhone users because they really want that iPhone. They don't really care which operator they're buying it from. They just want to be able to get the iPhone. The performance of your website in that first half an hour can make a 10 to 15% difference on the market share that you get on the early adopters of iPhone. Cloud technologies like auto-scaling, feature flagging, and the ability to support your environment much more effectively decides whether you win or lose in those iPhone launch days. And we've been fortunate over the last few in our key markets to be the winner in that journey because of the leverage of cloud technologies and the way we've architected that. We also use a service from Gartner which we found really effective, because one of the problems in digital is everyone thinks they have the best digital experience. And NPS is not really a great metric of whether your digital experience is better than someone else's, because NPS is affected by price, by lots of other things that dictate a customer experience. So we built a model with Gartner, a little bit like Umlaut for network. We score our digital experience out of 1,000 points. Twice a year, they go through the entire life cycle of our digital journeys. They buy our products, they provision our services, they get help, and they turn those services off. They also do that for our 3 biggest competitors in each market, and they give us a score out of 1,000 points. Where are we better than our competitors? Where are we behind our competitors? And we use that to shape the direction of travel for our investment in digital. Our goal is to be 150 points ahead of our nearest competitor, because we think that creates a competitive advantage. Today, we lead in every market that we compete in. In many markets like the UK, our lead is between 150 and 200 points, which creates a differentiation in both our time to market and our customer experience that we can offer. All of that's enabled by cloud and our software engineering capabilities. But digital is a really easy place to move to cloud. It's all cloud-native technologies. You're writing new software. It's really easy to integrate your CI/CD pipelines and your development tools to do that. What about the back end of your environment? That's much, much harder to move to cloud and to extract the benefits that come from cloud. We split our environment into 2 pieces. What we call our corporate IT. We look like any other corporate. We have a really big SAP implementation. We run success factors, we run HR tools, we run all that kind of stuff that you use to run your business. And we made a decision that as we built out our data ocean, that we would run all of those capabilities in public cloud. So we chose Google and GCP. We felt their data capabilities were better than AWS and Azure, and that we would build our data ocean in that environment. Today, that's 24 petabytes of curated, controlled data that we build into that platform. And to support that, we would move our corporate IT systems to the cloud. So we migrated our SAP environment. We have the 4th largest SAP implementation in Telco. We've migrated that to GCP and successfully running that in our GCP environment. That enabled us to decommission more than 300 servers and reduced our month-end close from 7 days down to 3 days. If anyone's financial in the room, you know that's a big impact in finance and your ability to report capabilities. It also enabled us to tidy up all of our legacy on-prem SAP environment, but more importantly, take all that data and make sure that it was close to our data ocean and capabilities that we're building. That's enabled our journey to Gen AI, because we have all of that data in a controlled, curated place, and we can build our own machine learning and Gen AI models sitting on top of that data ocean with the scale that we need from a cloud point of view. The last part of the journey, and by far the most difficult, is our core telco systems, what you might know as BSS, so billing systems, CRM, all of those elements. Like every telco, we have decades of legacy, decades of technology that has been tightly integrated into our network, and migrating that to cloud is a much, much more difficult task. But we're well on our way to achieving that. As we modernize the underlying technologies, we don't run transformation programs. Our business is not supportive of stopping everything you do in BSS for 3 years while you transform it to another technology and not be able to launch new products. They want us to be able to launch products but continually modernize it sitting below that. We take components of our legacy systems and we migrate them to cloud and rewrite them as we do that. A good example would be our commission systems. We used to run that as a legacy telco stack. We've rewritten that in our own code, and we now deploy that on cloud across all of our environment. To do that, we signed a partnership with Microsoft. We have 40,000 servers left in our data centers, 43 of them across Europe, which we are migrating into Microsoft Azure, and by 2027, we'll consolidate those data centers and unlock about 200 million euros of value by consolidating down to 3 large data centers for our network and running everything else in a public cloud environment. So cloud has enabled us to increase our velocity and our time to market, which is translated into better sales and better customer experience. It's dramatically improved our operational efficiency. Our percentage of major incidents from 2020 to today has dropped by 75%. That's a massive impact on lost service hours and the impact that we have on our customers from an experience point of view. That's enabled by cloud. And then finally, we've been able to unlock cost by really adopting cloud in an effective way. Now, the challenge when you move to cloud is lift and shift is not really an effective strategy. And this is where a lot of companies have gone wrong. They've taken 100 servers they run on-prem, they moved 100 servers to the cloud, and they think, wonder why this isn't cheaper. That's because they're not leveraging cloud capabilities. You need to refactor as you move into cloud capabilities. And we learned 3 really valuable lessons here. First of all, think about the capabilities that that cloud provider is going to offer you and how do you unlock those. Really simple stuff. Developers are really lazy. They have on-prem dev and test environments. They move those dev and test environments to the cloud and they leave them running. Wow, that's a big waste of OpEx. How about if you turn them off when you're not using them? How about if you automate the scripting that enables developers to factor up just the capability that they need at the point they need it? You can make massive cost savings. Take the example of iPhone launch day. The capacity we need on iPhone launch day, we see about a 700% increase in traffic into our shopping cart. So you need hundreds of servers to cope with that. But at 2 in the morning on a normal day, you need about 5 servers to run our shopping cart. Is your platform auto-scaling to take advantage of the loads that you have and therefore decreasing your cost that sits behind that? So this concept of FinOps in cloud is super important. Originally, we thought that was a finance function. So we'd get finance people to run the numbers on our contracts with our hyperscale partners, and we didn't really make a lot of progress. We then realized actually we needed to make the engineers responsible for that. We needed to give them the telemetry and the understanding of what they're consuming and incent them to consume less and build that into their CI/CD pipelines in their planning. When we did that, we saw a massive drop in our consumption and ownership from the engineering community to take care of that. We just had an internal hackathon about 3 weeks ago, and the winning Gen AI use case inside the organization was one that I loved. They took all of our hyperscaler contracts and then they measured the configuration of all of the instances that we had in our hyperscalers to match were they with our price points or not. They found more than 300K of savings because the environment was configured incorrectly. So a really good use case of using Gen AI to make sure that you're being as effective as you can in that environment. The final lesson we had was you have to maintain commercial tension. If I was presenting here in 2014, 2015, I probably would have said, hey, we're really happy with AWS and we'll continue to build all of our cloud capabilities there. But we made some decisions that we needed to balance our loads across all 3 big hyperscalers. And in fact, we use Oracle OCI as well to optimize the Oracle environment. That was a super important decision because it's easy to assume all cloud costs are the same across the 3 hyperscalers. They're not. It's true their retail prices or unitary costs are very similar, but the discounts that you can achieve and the way you optimize your usage dictates dramatically what you spend. And if you don't have that commercial tension and ability to move between different hyperscalers, it's very difficult for you to eke out the best commercial deal that you have. We've found by being roughly 1/3 across all 3, we've got the right commercial tension, the right willingness from the hyperscalers to invest with us, but also to optimize our prices and our discounts that we put in place. So the journey to cloud is a very effective one for creating value for telcos. It's a long journey and it requires a lot of focus, but is a key enabler to what we're all trying to achieve, which is better customer experience, better time to market, and be better at eking out a return on the capital that we deploy. Annie?
All right. I'm a bit flummoxed. I don't know where to begin.
I'm sure you've got good questions. You always do. But if not, I'm sure the audience will have great questions.
One of the things, Scott, I don't quite understand, but this is, of course, I'm not a CTO. When you're talking about this balance, and I love the expression commercial tension between the cloud providers, my understanding is that you have used certain cloud providers for certain applications and purposes, presumably because the way in which they're set up is most suitable. So that commercial tension, if you get grumpy with, let's say, Azure / Oracle, for whatever reason, how easy is it really for you to shift whatever you're doing with them over to somebody else? Because I would think the whole way it's set up and structured and the way the deal's structured is specific.
Yeah, it's a great question. It's a mixture of technology and commercial. So you need to make sure, how do cloud contracts work? You make a commitment to that hyperscaler over a period of time that you will consume a certain amount of workloads over that time. First of all, don't be aggressive in your commitment. It's really easy to get excited and go, I'll give 100,000 servers, even if you think you've only got 80,000 servers, and we'll grow. That could be risky because you're not leaving yourself flex to move things around. So don't overcommit is important. Secondly, you need to prove that you can move. And a lot of people don't believe that you can. So we have deliberate programs to take functions that currently run in one hyperscaler and we move them to another hyperscaler to validate ourselves that we can do that we haven't coded our platforms to be linked to one capability. And we're also trying to create resiliency. It is true, hyperscalers have outages. So,
Oh yeah, we've noticed once or twice. Yeah.
a great example is we use Citrix heavily in our contact center environment. So we originally built Citrix in Azure, and we had some issues. So we wanted to create an environment where we ran half of our Citrix estate in Microsoft and half of our Citrix estate in AWS, so that if we had an issue, we could move all of our users across to that. So executing those technology programs also says to the hyperscaler, you're technically capable of doing that, and that gives your threat of moving things a little bit more weight in your commercial negotiations.
I'm also kind of interested in maybe how you think of cloud has changed. For example, if I think back to the mid-teens of the century, there was a great deal of angst from telcos, and that you're going to get well and truly stomped into the mud by the hyperscalers before it seemed everybody noticed actually that telcos and cloud cos are really, really different animals. But you've talked a lot about operations. Could you talk a little bit more now about customers and how this, what you've achieved internally, can deliver better for customers? And also, do you still feel like the cloud cos and you were competing there for enterprise especially, I guess?
No, to answer the last part of the question, no, we see hyperscalers as partners, and we've been very effective at developing products and solutions together that have helped us win customers together and grow our capabilities. It's even helped with transitions to things like SD-WAN in enterprise networks away from MPLS that enables cloud, and enterprises are doing that because they want to put things in cloud data centers, and they want the flexibility of SD-WAN to enable that. So it's been an enabler for those kind of growth. First of all, I don't want to underplay the importance of operational performance. The biggest drag on customer experience is actually operational performance. If you have a network outage, or if you're logging into our website and you can't perform the task that you want, you're going to be negative on us. That's what's going to drive you to be an NPS detractor more than anything else. So performance is super, super important. But moving to cloud has enabled us to be a much more digitally native telco, moving all of our journeys. So for instance, our upgrade journeys 7 years ago were 90% in-store or via TSAR. Today, they're 90% digital. People do it via the app or via the website. Why? Because it's easier, it's quicker, and it's a better customer experience for them. The NPS is much, much higher. So being a digital native telco is really important in improving your customer experience and ensuring that you're better at serving your customers than anybody else.
I'm just going to ask one more question that I'm going to ask the audience. Thinking about being a digitally native telco and a cloud native telco, how you thought about that at the beginning when somebody went, aha, this cloud stuff has got great potential. Has there been any fundamental change in your thinking and what you want to achieve during that time? Or do you feel like you'd grasped it, but not necessarily all the finer detail?
No, I think you're constantly learning through that journey on how best to leverage cloud technology. As I said, I think we originally thought we'd probably just go big with one hyperscaler, and we felt in the end that wasn't the right strategy, and that having a mix was a better approach for us to develop. Making sure we educate our engineering staff and that they're capable of working in all three clouds is really important, and we've transitioned through that journey. For a long time, we actually thought we might be able to build data centers better than hyperscalers. That proved to be a big myth, and maybe there's lessons for us in Gen AI as well in how to do that. We just don't have the R&D to invest in that kind of capability to keep pace with the speed that they're moving at. But I think our migration to cloud has been, as I said, a really key enabler, along with insourcing and investing in software engineering. Those three things are tightly intertwined with each other, and if you don't do all three, you're probably not going to extract the value of cloud, but you're also not going to be able to become a digitally native telco.
Okay, so I liked your developers are lazy and you don't just lift and shift. So it also sounds like you've gone to great lengths to avoid replicating silos in the cloud, which seems to me like a smart idea. Okay, I need to stop hogging Scott's attention here. There's a gentleman just behind you, Deb, there. He has his hand up. So I'm slightly blinded by the light here, so go ahead.
Hi, Scott. Thank you for the presentation. That was really good. I was trying to, I'd like to hear your thoughts. So you said, 100% of your IT workloads will be in the public cloud and maybe up to 90% of network workloads in your private cloud. Of course, we have heard that in one of the, Telefonica of moving some of that network cloud workloads onto the public cloud, like at least as an expansion whenever you need it. Is that a strategy you are considering, or is that, what are your thoughts on that?
So it's constantly under evaluation. Our original tenets are still, in our view, still correct. We can manage the core network better and more effectively on private cloud in our environments and control the latency and the performance that we want. But we have a really skilled and large network engineering team that enables us to do that. Something that we've never really outsourced. We've always run as a core capability across all of our footprint. That may be different for other people who use outsourced services to deliver that. It is possible that public cloud is useful for network nodes, particularly around the edge, as we did a partnership with AWS for mobile edge compute, where we take AWS nodes and build them into our LTC, so distributed data centers and eventually at the edge. So I think there are roles for that to play, but the idea that we take our biggest and most important core network nodes and run those in public cloud, I think is a really, really long way down the track, and maybe even debatable if it's ever the right thing to do.
Anyone else? Oh gosh, we've got lots of people. Deb, we've got a gentleman and a lady here too, Ayesh. Don't worry, you won't miss out.
Thank you. That was super interesting. I'm curious about some of the lessons that you learned. You're describing not doing the lift and shift strategy into the hyperscalers. I'm really interested by that strategy of forcing yourself to redeploy onto different hyperscalers to prove that you've got the infrastructure in place, and I imagine there's a lot of infrastructure as code that's going on there. Do you advocate a strategy where you re-architect on your existing kind of legacy servers and try and bring them into that modern environment and then treat the hyperscaler cloud as that second deploy target? Or do you still advocate sort of lifting and shifting and then re-architecting once you're back in the hyperscaler cloud?
Yeah, that's a good question. Normally, lift and shift gives you a quicker time to value, so you can decommission and take energy savings or data center savings. So that often is the key driver. But refactoring when you move is really, really important, or your consumption will be too high over time because you're not able to leverage auto scaling and the capabilities that the cloud provider can provide you. Refactoring can be really difficult though. Vendors typically want to charge you to upgrade their licensing. They want to take your systems integrator might want to take you through a big transformation project. So we try and pull the components apart and refactor the components we think we can do ourselves, and then leverage the vendor to do the other elements that sit on top of that. But ultimately, you need to get to a cloud-native capability if you really want to unlock the value. We do test that across different hyperscalers to work out what the best performance we get from different hyperscalers and which one's going to be more effective for us. We do the same thing in Gen AI, by the way. We run LLMs on multiple environments, and then we choose which one gives us the best performance and at the lowest cost, and that's where we run that particular use case.
Yeah, I can see that you get that flexibility as well, just by, even if you lift and shift, when you get a big change like AI, you've still got access to those servers and you can add them on, whereas if you had that locally,
using cloud for resiliency is a really great place to start. So you might have an on-prem and then you've got DR somewhere else, or you want to build DR. Putting that DR in the cloud is a really great way to start. And then you can actually build confidence, because you can cut over to your DR site running in the cloud, be confident maybe for a day or for a weekend, check that everything's validated, and then you can start to decommission on-prem. So that idea of a staged migration is a very effective way to get to the end goal, which is you want everything in the cloud.
Great, thank you.
Okay, and then Isha, just in front here. I don't know about anybody else.
Thank you, Scott, for a very, very insightful presentation. What I would like to understand with you, these colors represent these different on-prem and different cloud, Google, AWS for yellow, and green for
this is
Google. And
this is basically number of servers, which is getting less accurate because we use serverless more. But red is private cloud, yellow is AWS.
Can we go back?
Green is Google, and blue is Azure.
Yeah, but still I'm seeing a lot of non-cloud workloads coming in. So
yeah,
we're fitting into this.
We still have, that's where we started, and this is the journey we're on. We're kind of here today, and eventually we'll be at the end tier. So we've still got 40,000 servers running BSS systems, running Lotus Notes in some places. We've got everything.
Lotus Notes?
One of our billing systems in one market is like 20-something years old. Those will still run on on-prem services. By 2027, those will all have moved to Azure and be retired.
So my question is that you are keeping these hyperscaler just to be competitive, or just you can negotiate the better prices with them, or you have a vision to just bring all workload on one cloud and just be more...
Our original vision was one cloud. Our vision today is evenly spread across all three to maintain the tension, and also they develop at different paces and different speed. Let me give you a good example. Oracle is really important in a telco environment. More than 90% of our databases are Oracle. Oracle invested in their own on-prem cloud capability, which we invested in private cloud. We really wanted Oracle to partner with hyperscalers. They partnered first with Azure to put Oracle Cloud in Azure, which helped us move our Oracle workloads to those. They don't have a partnership with AWS, and they've just announced a partnership with Google. So as the industry changes, you want the flexibility to be able to move between the hyperscaler that's most effective for you to work with. If you bet on one, in theory, and I think this is a theory, you might get a better discount because you commit all your workloads. The reason I think it's theory is I don't really think it works that way, because they know you're captive and you're probably not going to move. You need to create that commercial tension and the flexibility to move around as the industry develops or the pricing points change that you want to be able to extract value from.
So internally, and as an organization point of view, intrinsic view, like you are maintaining these people with these capabilities for all those clouds together, isn't it a big vision for Vodafone to just manage that? Instead, you may have one cloud, and you may have people from with Google capabilities or something, because in some cases they might be the same thing, but they have been Bedrock different, and then Amazon has a different name, and they have a different name.
Yeah, it's a good question. That's not our experience. We found by educating our engineers, they make better decisions on where they put loads and how to use them in the frameworks we developed. Encourages them. They own FinOps as well, so they're responsible for their consumption, and we really believe we have a more economical model for the approach that we've taken. And we've seen that through some of the acquisitions and divestitures that we've made. We get to see external prices. So we think this model is the most effective way to maintain pricing, but also efficiency for the way we build our skill set. It also creates a much better employee value proposition. Our engineers are multi-skilled, and they want to stay with Vodafone rather than go and work for the hyperscaler themselves or someone that's betting on one technology. So in the round, we think it's a better strategy.
So you need to spend heavily on trainings and all these things.
Correct.
Yeah, for that matter.
Okay, one more from, okay, two more. As we've got Scott here, it's a shame, but then we'll have to move on. Oh. Thank you.
Great story, Scott, and thanks for sharing it. I had two questions. One, is how something like Oracle, right, where in telco it's huge. You know, their approach tends to be, hey, stick with us and we'll help you migrate to the cloud. Is that, because I don't think anyone today, if you were building it kind of native, you would probably go down that path. And then secondly, I wanted to challenge your point about one cloud. If you're, and this is kind of a linked question, how much is truly cloud native? Because if you're truly cloud native, moving between one cloud and another, you can do it at the click of a finger. And then your case for having multiple operators, maybe from a resiliency point of view, there's some questions, although I've never really seen a proper resilience failover in my entire life. So I kind of just wonder is, you know, those two things are kind of pulling apart in terms of how you migrate stuff really away from legacy with an incumbent like Oracle versus how do you really get to a point where you want to, you want to have a partnership with the hyperscalers, but you know, how do you really disaggregate them in the way that we're used to in technology these days?
Yeah, good question. So let me start with Oracle. The big benefits of moving to cloud with Oracle were really to unlock lifecycle management and make sure that we're running on 19C and at the right levels. But most importantly was autonomous database. So we literally have hundreds of thousands of databases running those environments. Move to OCI, you get autonomous running across state. You don't need database administrators doing all those functions anymore. You can redeploy them to do something else. Originally, we had to do that with OCI DRCC, so OCI running in our data centers to make that happen. Now, with their partnership with Azure, we're moving OCI to Azure and moving the app as well to unlock that value, better performance, better stability, leverage of scaling, and starting to modernize the underlying applications that sit with that. It's true, many of the apps that sit on top of that are not cloud native, and then you're running a lift and shift strategy. But I would say in digital, everything's microservices today, and moving between clouds is quite easy. Actually, in the back end, it's getting easier and easier. We're leveraging our data platform. We're able to move some of the core apps. The core BSS, still really, really difficult. You make a decision, put it in one place, and that's pretty much where it stays. And we need the Amdoxes of the world to move a little bit faster in helping us take our legacy estates and upgrading to C1D1, their latest tools. I have to say, Oracle's changed a little bit as a cloud provider. I think Clay and the team have done a good job in helping customers manage those migration processes.
Thank you.
And multi-clouds is probably an opinion we'll debate for many years. And
yeah, I mean, I think there's a right or wrong answer. It's just I think, you know, I think when you're, rather than be hostage to one, you're hostage to three.
maybe.
A circular firing squad. There's a gentleman there with one more, and then we're going to move. Thanks,
for
Phil.
the presentation.
Thank you.
Adhan from Comark. And I'm not this is another way of thinking hostage, instead of hostage of one, being hostage of three. But from the early days of the telecoms, actually people are just getting different equipment vendors or using different kind of installment subcontractors with the same mindset, provide operational excellence, also in the meantime, just minimize the risk, you know, in other sense. Now, moving on that kind of level to, let's say, you're providing also the redundancy by using other different hyperscalers and making yourself more fit to ODA. So what would be the next steps? Maybe distributing that risk on instead of digital infrastructure to digital application layer. So you will distribute the vendors of your legacy BSS or legacy OSS. It also gives you other kind of aspect. Will this be the next aspect?
It's difficult to split domains like that way across multiple providers, because you create a whole set of ingress and egress issues, engineering issues. You end up with different pipelines. So we took a domain space, put one domain in one area, and be flexible. So we take digital loads from AWS and we run them on GCP and Azure to understand performance and validate that we can do that. But it's really a domain by domain approach. Our data ocean's in GCP. Unless Google really mess up, it's going to stay in GCP. And what we're seeing with their evolution of Gen AI, that's been a really good decision for us. So you don't want a laissez-faire approach, and you don't want every engineer to choose where to put it. So you need a domain structure that you follow. But you need to be confident in yourself that you can move things around so that you've got the commercial flexibility that you want to make changes. It also, I think, improves your software development quality, because you tend not to code or tie yourself to a specific hyperscaler too tightly, because you want the flexibility to be able to move to other places. It may prove to be wrong. 10 years from now, we may look back and go, I wish we'd just picked one. But the pace of development, the role that AI is starting to play, the different investments that the different hyperscalers are making, I'd really like to have a fairly even bet across all three and have the flexibility to harness those innovations and be able to move without being locked into a single provider.
Okay, Scott, with the greatest reluctance, we have to let you go. I'd just like to thank you very much. That was fab. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for listening.
We'll see you in 10 years, Scott, maybe.